Hello, everyone. Hello, 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 hi, hey, hi, hello, hi, hey, hi. Welcome. Church Has Glasses. It's Kirk Has Glasses on Sundays. Because my name literally means church in some European language that I'm blanking on right now. And, yeah. And while Shadow Wanathan has suggested that maybe PowerWash Away Your Sins was a pun in regards to cleaning your beehole on the toilet or a bidet. It's PowerWash Simulator. A game that massages your brain and makes you feel good inside and takes away the scary thoughts for a couple hours. Thanks for being here, Shadow. Thank you for the subscription again. 33 months, it's unbelievable. Thank you so much. Because you've been a ride or die dude, which I doubt that you've lowered your standards enough to watch the Fast and the Furious movies. But that means, you know, you've stuck around for quite a while, and I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. But yeah, Church Has Glasses, when I initially conceived of the stream, I wanted it to be a situation where it begins with kind of an impromptu family and Corona. And I see now that my green screen, this is why you're supposed to check these things before you start, but professionalism is for the birds. Let's see. Is that better? It's kind of better. Usually I want it to begin with some sort of free-flowing, free associated, kind of talk or sermon, in quotes. But, lately I have quite literally been hiding from current events and the news and most things. One, because I didn't have internet access last weekend. Two, personal things that have made the stress levels skyrocket. That I don't want to discuss on stream because I wanted to separate the worlds a little bit, which is both a good idea and a bad idea when it comes to streaming, because that's what people want. They want connection. They want to be able, like, people want to think that they're talking to a real human being. This is all artifice. I don't dress like this usually. This is all a character. I'm usually wearing three-piece suits. I'm driving in Porsches. I'm mistreating people all over the place because I'm an alpha male type dude. I don't know if you could tell, but yeah, I'm nothing like this in real life. And as you could tell by my success, it's working. No, it's just things I'm not super comfortable talking about on stream. But with that said, I'm appreciative that I do have some homies, some digital homies, some Shadow and Squirtle, and sometimes the folks that trickle in and out. I appreciate it. But yeah, the last couple of days have been very stressful. and hopefully we can massage some of that out and power wash away that stress with a little power wash simulator. The only thing that I can think of that did come across my world, I mean, unintentionally. I didn't search this out. Just occasionally I turn on Twitter occasionally just to see if someone has declared war, basically, because it's like, if something huge happened, Twitter will at least let me know. I do the same thing with Reddit. It's like, well, if something real bad happened, that's the first thing they're gonna mention. And apparently a lot of people are pissed at Jonah Hill for what seems like putting his foot down on unrealistic boundaries for an ex-girlfriend. If you stream 50 hours a week and receive 50% of my sub, then I'm paying you 25 cents an hour. We're homies. 20. Thank you for breaking down that math, Shadow. Thank you for your 25 cents an hour. I appreciate it. And you do know I do not stream 50 hours a week. It's almost... Oh my gosh. Even though I am trying very hard to get back on a consistent schedule, just with life, man. Life finds a way. Dr. Ian Malcolm was right, man. Life just finds a way. Of course, it would be a dream to win the lottery and then decide, you know what, I'll just do this full time because it's fun. And I can come up with more ideas and I can edit more things and put more things out and work on that stuff. But unfortunately, life does not work like that. And it's a real bummer. A bummer and a half. Yeah, what was I talking about? I was talking about Jonah Hill and his demand that a ex-girlfriend does not post pictures of them in swimwear with members of the opposite sex, and she was a surf instructor. And while I'm not, I'm not super cool with people airing out all of their secret, not all of them, but airing out communications you've had with someone that you've been vulnerable with, I don't think choosing a side on that argument is really a positive thing to do. But I will say this. If you feel in a relationship you need to make those specific kinds of boundaries, I think you need to have a discussion and possibly end the relationship because you have very different definitions of what's acceptable in a relationship. And that's my only take, really. I don't have 20 minutes to discuss it. Just, hey, if at any point you say to yourself, I think I need to put a boundary on this person that is, one, unrealistic, and two, they might see as childish, and they let us know that it seems like it's childish, maybe shouldn't be with that person. And I think that's kind of the whole purpose, right? To look for that person that something I used to say, because I know nothing about relationships, I'll be honest. I'm probably the most ignorant. You shouldn't listen to any of my advice. But something I had heard and then kind of modified, and I wish I knew the original originator of this idea. But all relationships are a process of revealing more of yourself that gets accepted by another person. So, an acquaintance is somebody you reveal very little of yourself, and they accept that. And that's the contract. And then A friendship is revealing a little more. Best friend or close friendship slash best friends is revealing probably all or almost all. And then relationships are the same kind of deal. Romantic relationships, you're revealing more and more and more and more. And depending on your threshold of that revealing, do you engage physically? Do you cohabitate? Blah, 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 blah. But the ending of relationships, both romantic and non, is when you reveal enough of yourself that the other person no longer accepts the contract. And maybe they reduce contact, maybe they end contact, maybe they reduce the revealing and the discussion, the back and forth, the repartee. And with romantic relationships, it's the same deal. You reveal more and more and more of yourself until the other person and you may decide that you need to break off this contract, this relationship. And the thing that I think a lot of people need to learn is the decision to end that contract, that relationship. It is not something to be ashamed of, because all it did was reveal that this isn't the person that's going to accept the contract and who you are. Now, there's also, of course, because things are complicated, there's, you know, variables in terms of changing. How much will you change for another person? What are you willing to change? And that's really that's the dance that you play. How much is a person changing? Do they want to change, or is changing is what the other person wants to change about you changing a fundamental thing about who you are? Is that something that's actually going to change? Things like that. All that to say, I guess it's a good thing that Jonah Hill and that woman broke up. What am I even talking about? No one knows. But yeah. Yeah. It's all slowly revealing more of yourself and then seeing if that is accepted. And it turns out a lot of it won't be accepted by, won't be accepted by everybody. I don't know where I am. I just had a brain fart. I thought I had a point after that point. By the way, who the fuck is Jonah Hill? Jonah Hill is an actor. You may know him from... He was in The 40-Year-Old Virgin. He was in Superbad. He was in Knocked Up. More recently, he was on that Netflix show Maniac. He was in Moneyball, Wolf of Wall Street. He's, that was the last thing he was in, the Bad 20 Hopscotch thing. Bad 20 Hopscotch thing. Oh, 21 Jump Street. That wasn't the last thing he's in. He's done some shit. He's done some, like, lower exposure shit recently, but I don't know what. Oh, like he did You People? He did, like, this Netflix movie about a gentleman who is engaged to a African-American woman, and her family doesn't really like him. Kind of like the Guess Who's Coming to Dinner reboot that I think Ashton Kutcher and Bernie Mac were in. An actor, dude. An actor, a comedic actor dude who's been in some shit. But, yeah, you know. Relationships are complicated things, and then the public eye does not do anything to help it. And it's kind of a bummer, because I'm not saying Jonah Hill was right. Not going to be that guy. I'm not even going to take a side on the argument. I'm just going to say, have you seen Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? Not the original one. I don't even think I've seen the reboot. No, I haven't. But I've played the game Guess Who. Does that help your question? Oh, man. It's like, have you seen Silence of the Lambs? No, but I've seen Babe. And Babe 2, Pig in the City. Like, what? How does that help with any conversation? Have you seen Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? I think I did. No, I didn't. And I didn't see its reboot. And I didn't even really see that movie. I believe it's called You People. I might be way off. I didn't even see that. I saw a glimpse of it when I came home once, and my roommates were watching it. It did not seem like it'd be my bad. I didn't understand the original. Your daughter is dating a doctor, and he's freaking Sidney Poitier. Him. Well, because of racism, Shadow. Because of racism. There are so many. There not so many. That I don't want to be disingenuous. There are plenty of movies that I have looked at selecting for us to watch, and then just like a little bit of research tells me, okay, definitely not gonna watch that shit because I don't want to get in trouble for obvious reasons. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's just what is acceptable and unacceptable over time, and people call it cancel culture or woke or whatever, but because I've obviously never seen Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. I did not know that the character that was so offensive to the family of this woman, I didn't realize that, yes, it was a African-American man. However, it's a doctor. Like, we have so much reverence for doctors, you know, just in society, that I feel like if I had a daughter and she's like, hey, it's a doctor, and they're like, okay, dope. A person being a doctor says so much about them already. I mean, unless, well, I'm trying to think, are there any... If it's a doctor of research, it's a guy who got his doctorate writing a dissertation about Star Trek. I guess that is a different situation. But it does mean that they're committed to doing a whole lot of work for something. They don't back out when shit gets hard. Because becoming a doctor ain't easy. Nobody becoming a doctor because it's easy street. And even if they are a doctor of a non-medical doctor, like a non-medical doctor, or healing doctor, or whatever you want to call it, practicing medicine doctor, it's like, oh, well, they committed a whole hell of a lot to a very specific topic. Like, I know somebody who's a doctorate of history. It's like, yeah, well, that motherfucker knows some history. That isn't something they just give you. They're not like, oh wow, you read a lot of books on this topic. Here's a doctorate. I'm like, nah, dog. They had to they had to write some shit. They had to defend some shit. It's not easy street being a doctor of any kind. And just that right there is that's a big indication of what that person is like. To say, oh, they're a doctor. Oh, well. They don't mind putting in a lot of work. Anyway. I don't know where I'm going anymore. I got no more topics. Unless you want to talk about Ernest Goes to Camp and Slam Dunk Ernest Shadow. I did watch those recently. As well as Silence of the Lambs, RoboCop, and I also watched 7 of the 10 Fast and Furious films recently. Yes, more Jim Varney. Jim Varney, look, are the Ernest films good? No. Do I wish they made more, and did I wish Jim Varney did not have lung cancer? Absolutely. One, last weekend I saw The Thing and the Stuff. And not to be that guy, because nobody likes that guy, really. But are you talking about John Carpenter's The Thing? And I have not seen the stuff at all. But you're talking about the John Carpenter's Kurt Russell's The Thing? The stuff, the only thing I know about the stuff is that the movie poster, both 80s. Yeah, if I remember the stuff poster correctly, it just looks like someone's mouth is full of, like, green goo. I might be mixing it up with another movie poster. But with that said, John Carpenter's The Thing is one of, like, the best horror movies I've ever seen. And because I don't know, I'm sure we've talked about it. Like, I've always been really afraid of horror movies. Like, I was like, there's no way I can handle them. I don't do well with horror. And then later in life, this stuff is about a killer dessert. Is that true? Also, does that just mean it's about a really great dessert? It's like a chef's tale about a dessert that, like, they've just been working on, and then suddenly it's just right, and it's the best dessert in town. And then they rise the ranks as a local chef. It goes to their head, and then suddenly the dessert doesn't taste right anymore. Then he loses his friends and family because they were really the supporters, and then the guy who's actually making money on him reveals his evil plan. He doesn't actually give a shit about the food. I've tried watching The Thing before, but I kept falling asleep. Well, that's not a ringing endorsement. I will be honest, I fell asleep watching The Thing from Another World, which was the 1950s movie The Thing is based on. I fell asleep watching that really quickly. Because that's just a bunch of old white dudes talking about being in the snow for way too long. John Carpenter's The Thing, to me, it kind of hooked me early and then was like, this is just the shit. This is just good stuff. They should have had The Thing with Jim Varney as Ernest P. Worrell. Yeah, as I was saying about Jim Varney, like, just a bummer, because, like, they're not good by any stretch of the imagination, especially when we get past, like, Ernest Saves Christmas. Like, the quality and the storytelling was just off the cliff, and I still want to see more, because it, like, it's so funny. to watch them like flop around. Because Jim Varney, I think, he didn't do any wrong. He's just like, hey, I'll collect another paycheck doing this bullshit. I also saw Casino for the first time, and I would rate any Ernest movie over it. I don't know. I haven't seen Casino, but I would be hard pressed to rate it over Ernest Rides Again. Because Ernest Rides Again is one of the worst movies I have ever seen ever. Because all of the Ernest movies they all have this charm where you're like, yeah, it's bad, but it's also like it's a children's character made up by an ad agency. What else did you expect? You know what I'm saying? Like, what quality did you expect from this? Ernest Goes to Camp got a pass because it was like somewhat good. He doesn't. Wait, does he ride a tank? I thought he just rode on a cannon. God, that movie is so stupid. God, that movie's so dumb. Such a dumb movie. I gotta rewatch it. Maybe I'll throw it on today. As I do some other shit that I gotta work on. I just remember him riding a cannon and thinking to myself, what in the fuck are we talking about? What are we even talking about with this? Cannon, I guess. I haven't seen it in 25 years. From my memory, Ernest Rides Again, which is a terrible title for what's happening. Ernest is, I think he's a janitor at like a university, and he befriends a history professor who has this wackadoo theory that the crown jewels of England are actually hidden in a Revolutionary War cannon that is on display in the area. And some evil corporation knows about it, and they try to like heist the cannon, but Ernest happens to be there, and just through a set of circumstances ends up like riding the cannon, where he's like straddling the cannon, and the cannon gets out of a car, like a truck that's towing it or transporting it, and then he rides the cannon for 50 minutes of the movie. Somehow, for 50 minutes, this cannon is on a downhill, and he is riding it. And that is the entire movie, is him riding a cannon that's filled with the crown jewels that this evil corporation is trying to get to. And I remember it being real bad. I remember it being worse than Ernest Goes to Africa, Ernest Goes to School, and Slam Dunk Ernest. I remember it being worse than those. But he slam dunks with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem only works with two people, Bruce Lee and Jim Varney. But that's what's so crazy. So, something I realized, like, just in a moment of, like, realization. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar also works with, what are their names? How did I forget their names? Oh, goodness. The brothers who did Airplane. I have the internet. Why don't I just look it up? Look it up. You have the internet. Didn't we have a crazy fan theory that Ernest movies were actually made by Stanley Kubrick? Well, I thought Slam Dunk Ernest had a very, very weird Zucker brothers. That's right, the Zucker brothers. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar works with the Zucker brothers because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is also in Airplane and is also in Basketball for one scene. Jabbar only works at the best. But no, I remember this theory. If you watch Slam Dunk Ernest, because Slam Dunk Ernest on the surface, Slam Dunk Ernest is a story about a man who just wants to play basketball, who wants to be a part of a team, and he's a janitor that works for a janitor service that services a mall, and every other worker on this team of janitors is in a city league basketball team that's actually pretty good, and Ernest just wants to be on the team. Through a interesting set of circumstances, the guardian angel of basketball, played by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, is at war with the devil, who is acting as a, like, basketball agent or something, but he also corrupts the woman who works at the lotto place in the mall. You know how a mall has a lotto place where all they sell is lottery tickets. You know, that spot in the mall we're all aware of. But there's very weird, because it's also just a absolutely goofy, ridiculous movie. I remember when Kubrick made Jim Varney go ooh for 57 takes. Well, that's why I don't know if it's really Kubrick, because he would not have accepted some of those takes as the final one. There's just weird symbolism in that movie. And weird, like, very weird, like, sexual innuendo and adult shit in that movie. I don't know. I think there was something going on in Slam Dunk Ernest, because this is also, I remember I came up with this theory after watching all of the Varney movies, or all of the Ernest movies in order, and previously the movies before these were like dog shit, like, you know, funny dog shit that had interesting smells and colors, but it was still bad. And then Slam Dunk Ernest was also bad, but it had this weird undertone where there was just this, I just had this thought of, like, why is there so much more subtext in this movie versus the others? The Malkstein revealed he faked the moon landing. Miak! I also hate Ernest Scared Stupid. I thought that movie sucked. I do strongly believe that when it comes to Ernest P. Worrell, there are Ernest Saves Christmas people, and there are Ernest Scared Stupid people. And I am a Saves Christmas Ernest man myself. I think Ernest Saves Christmas is a great movie. And I think Scared Stupid sucks. I had a former coworker, actually, Sedo, who is also streaming and is popular on the TikToks. We're former co-workers. And we had this discussion a couple times, I think. Too many times, really. Where he straight up said, like, no. Scared Stupid was my favorite. I was like, yeah, but kids making tree forts, it's my childhood happy place. But yeah, he very vehemently was like, no. Scared Stupid is awesome. I was like, Scared Stupid sucks, dude. Saves Christmas is awesome. But he's like, Saves Christmas is not that good. And I was like, you need to re-watch it. in this 80s and 90s films with unsupervised children. Oh my gosh, so true. So true. I remember when, like, you could have an 80s, 90s movies. You can have 80s, 90s movies and television shows where kids had, like, their own society that basically functioned as, like, an adult government. Like Recess. Or, like, the Paper Brigade. Where there is a hierarchy and a system of like social status amongst children. And it's like, it's crazy, man. Nowadays, it's like, oh my gosh, King Bob for president. Like, oh my gosh, it's summer vacation. What are we gonna do? We can't show bullying. We can't show kids saying inappropriate things. We can't show kids in danger. And we can't show kids doing anything unseemly. Okay, so we don't have conflict, so we don't have a movie. Fantastic. What are we making then? We can't show Smalls killing Ham. But, like, you think about it, like, Sandlot is a pretty great movie. And the conflict is in, I guess, feeling, alienated. The jocks versus the kind of, like, kids from the wrong side of the tracks. Like, those scenes can be problematic. The fact that there are basically no girls in the movie until, one is the goal for one of the kids' sexual awakenings, and then women are only mentioned to say, you play ball like a girl. So I can see how that's a problem. But other than that, like, the real conflict in Sandlot, which is wearing the beast on my hat right now, was the beast and the kids. That was kind of more of a fantastical, scary villain, even though it was all rumors about this man-eating dog. Movies, they help us forget the current things in life. Oh, goodness. Also, what's her name was, Marion? Can't remember her name. The mom in Sandlot was, the love interest for Indiana Jones. So Smalls could be Indiana Jones's child. And then he left her. Obviously, I don't think the timing adds up, but... That's the sequel to Indiana Jones we haven't talked about, is The Sandlot. Babe Ruth's ball belongs in a museum. There's so many great lines in that. And of course, I mean, one of my favorite parts, and I think anyone who really likes the movie, is James Earl Jones. When James Earl Jones, he's like, yeah, we played with this ball, and we shouldn't have. And he's like, well, he's like, well, why? He's like, well, it's signed by Babe Ruth. And he's like, George signed this? And he's like, yeah, George Herman Ruth. And he's like, oh, you're not in trouble. You're dead where you stand. And it was like, holy shit, that's so funny. It's all been kids saying, like, oh, you're dead as a doornail. Like, he's going to kill you. But then when another adult is like, oh, yeah, he's going to murder you. He's going to kill you. You are a dead person. Oh, back around to who's coming to dinner. Anyway, we can still talk about movies while I play PowerWash Simulator, huh? Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Also, why is it so loud? The master volume. That was weird. Why did it have noise? Whatever. We got a skate park to clean. Loading dirt. Right, I cleaned up this part first. I gotta turn it up so we can hear the water. That's half of the... Damn. A little bit more, a little bit more. Now it seems like too much. At least in my headphones. Alright. Let's go. Time to clean up this skate park so kids can hurt themselves. Is this graffiti? Did some of you whippersnappers graffiti on this lovely skate park that is clearly painted in like the 90s? It's like a cult situation over here. Something out of Constantine. But yeah, as we also interesting that your take on Casino is that it's not very good. But people loved Casino. I know that I threw on Silence of the Lambs, which I believe, and I could be very, very wrong, it was the first horror movie to be nominated for Best Picture. And watching it again, I'm like, yeah, it deserves it. The movie's fucking great. And it like builds like an entire world with very, very little. Just kind of like, oh, here's the quick setup of this Hannibal Lecter character. Here's all you really need to know about him. And then that character is nothing but interesting. And kind of like... takes all your attention. The entire time I was watching Casino, I was asking myself, why am I not watching Goodfellas? Yeah, Goodfellas was one. I was visiting my brother when he was living in New York. And I remember we were talking about movies, and my brother was like, well, I mean, Goodfellas, like, that's one of the best movies ever. And I was like, man, I still haven't seen Goodfellas. And they, like, just straight up pulled out the Blu-ray, and he's like, we're watching it right now. And I was like, well, aren't we? Because I think we were at his place, and it was, like, basically time to go to sleep. And I was like, aren't we going to bedtime? Because I'm kind of tired. And he's like, nope, we're watching Goodfellas, and it's your fault. And we watched ourselves some Goodfellas. And it was pretty damn good. And that is kind of a... God, that is kind of a bummer. Because I don't know, I mean, part of it is my own anxieties and my own issues, and I understand that. But, like, is that a Stussy S? What? Taking it back. Do I really want to get rid of that? I mean, it's a piece of art. It's a piece of history. This Stussy S. What? That's right, that's the Stussy S, right? Kids were making that on notebooks all the time. Because it was easy and we were bored. But I always feel kind of like a guilt when I want to turn off a movie. Is it guilt? It's kind of like a... What's a good way to describe it? Well, almost like I don't want to waste the time if I've like watched a movie halfway through and it's like, well, maybe it'll get better, maybe it'll be worth it, maybe I'll see something that'll make it worth it. So I'll end up watching the whole movie, but one of the worst things is when you watch a movie and as you're watching it, you're like, I could just watch a better version of this called blank. Like you just described with Casino and Goodfellas, where you're just like, I could just be watching the better version of this movie. Which is kind of how I feel, because it's like, anytime I watch the Hurt Locker, I could be like, well, I could just be watching Ernest in the Army. Same basic movie. Just as good. Sorry, Catherine Bigelow and Jeremy Renner and the guy who plays the Falcon and everybody else who's in the Hurt Locker. I saw another good movie called Sing and Like It. That makes it sound like it's a demand. You're gonna sing and you're gonna like it. I don't want to leave the Stussy S. I don't want to leave this S forever. Just immortalize whoever did it. Zazu Pitts is an amateur singer, a gangster, thinks she's wonderful, so he starts intimidating Broadway people. Put her into the show. Oh. Interesting. In the Discord, Hetrick and Felix were talking about a movie that I was like, that seems like something I would watch, and then kind of immediately regret that I wanted to watch it. I think it's called Womb, and it's about apparently Woody Allen remade it as what was I saying? And basically the whole point of Womb is a woman really messed up. So a woman basically clones her husband and carries her husband as a baby in her womb, gives birth to her husband, and then raises her husband to then replace her husband. And I was like, that sounds like a crazy movie that I'd watch and then immediately regret that I watched it, for sure. Interesting how the dirt stops. She would have given birth to Freud. But yeah, that's actually, I had that discussion with my dad yesterday. We were talking about talking about movies. I was talking about a specific director who made a movie that had a very weird concept / idea, and I told him what it was, and he's like, why would you even make that? Like, well, sometimes you come up with an idea. And he's like, yeah, but you don't have to, like, say yes to every idea you have. Because he was just so disgusted by the idea. I was like, I don't know, man. Sometimes you come up with an idea, and you just want to see it through. And then, of course, he turned on a documentary made by William Shatner about Star Trek The Next Generation. And because it's William Shatner, every interview would also cut back to William Shatner when he would ask them questions. And he would also give his input on some of the answers about Star Trek The Next Generation. The Star Trek he was not a part of. And it did feel kind of like this, like... He's like, you know what interests me about Star Trek The Next Generation and the story of its creation? Me. He's like, you know what's really going to sell this documentary about Star Trek The Next Generation? Me, William Shatner. Who, as you know, was not in Star Trek The Next Generation. But, it's me, Billy Schatz. Hot take, people don't really like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. They only like Gene Wilder. Okay, well, as someone who loves Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, I disagree with you. I don't know if you knew that about me, Shadow. I love Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's kind of my... People call it their homesick movie. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is like the movie I put on when I'm feeling down, when I'm feeling low. It would have gotten a lot of play these last couple weeks if I didn't have other things I had to do. And I do play the soundtrack on occasion. I do like Gene Wilder. Don't get it twisted. He's a great part of that movie. Well, I love that movie because of its weirdness. Its absolute weirdness. What in the hell? The ball is never clean. TNG needed TJ Hooker. What'll be interesting is when I don't really even clean the graffiti off the walls and it still shows that it's clean. I've just never heard anyone praise the movie without only talking about Wilder. I will tell you, I will be the first one to do it if you'd like. And by the way, my love of this movie comes with a very, very giant grain of salt, and I'll explain why. Or hating on Grandpa Joe. The reason I love Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is because it was adapted by the original writer of the book, Roald Dahl. And Roald Dahl is a bit of a psychopath. And Roald Dahl clearly wanted things that were psychotic and impossible for a popular film, even of that time. He wanted to cut in. He wanted the Oompa Loompas to be pygmies. He wanted very specific weird things in the movie that they were like, Roald, we're not doing that. Like, a lot of weird shit like that. But I love that movie because it is... Y'all also hated the witches. It also is a movie that puts kids in danger and then doesn't just take them out of it. Even in the original book, Roald Dahl wrote that the kids are seen at the end of the book, and in the Tim Burton adaptation, which can suck it, the kids are shown to be safe outside of the factory. Like, oh wow, these kids, they got out, right? The movie doesn't do that. The movie just goes, no, they probably died. Like, it just kind of brushes it off that, like, oh no, those kids are dead. And it also does something that a kid's movie wouldn't really do. It shows that, like, the adults are just as crazy as the kids are for this chocolate factory. And in many ways, I think it's kind of a criticism on people's obsession with like brands and things. Because when you see that movie, it doesn't open up with just kids freaking out about the chocolate factory. It's adults are as well, and it has all these like weird sketches of adults freaking out about the chocolate factory opening. And people considering not saving their husbands because they want the Wonka bars, or the Queen of England spending money, well, I guess the people of England's money on Wonka bars, and adults trying to use technology to sneakily get Wonka bars. It's all very intense adult adults trying to scheme their way into this factory, and the kids are almost like towards the beginning of that movie, the kids are like barely even a part of that. Like Charlie is the main character, but the movie just takes time making the story about these adults trying to get into this factory, and Charlie is just like chilling in the background. And then it comes back to Charlie when Charlie gets the possibility to get into the factory, and then of course Grandpa Joe. Also, for me, like the kids, they do such a great job at showing kids as absolute assholes, like gluttons and rude pieces of shit. Mike TV, who is just a complete arrogant, like, screen kid, who is also obsessed with guns and, like, killing people and death, and his dad is just sitting there with a big old smile on his face, is like, maybe when you're 15, I'll get you a gun, and it's, like, such a good, commentary on America. The Violet Beauregard's dad, who is, like, this scheming businessman, who uses his daughter's, like, victory to try and sell fucking cars. Like, the like, clearly renowned, like, shady business of selling cars. Used cars. I don't know, I just love it. I also love just all the weird, like... because... it's a movie that you could talk about a lot, because the movie takes place in Germany. Willy Wonka's factory is in Germany. Charlie is from Germany. Like, it's all right there that that movie is not American. And when you... and we know that, like, there's all these clues that it's actually Germany and not America. But they want to present it as like, oh, this could be any country in the world. And it's like, no, it's clearly fucking Germany. All the advertisements are in German. All the architecture and all the cars, like, it's all clearly Germany. And I think that lends itself to an interesting thing of the movie, because it's like, okay, so where did Willy Wonka come from? Like, examine Willy Wonka's past now that you know it's Germany. And I'm not telling you what's going on. I want you to put two and two together. Oompa Loompas and yeah, exactly. Willy Wonka is German. And clearly working on some crazy science for candy. So, you know, and because when I was younger, I had it's a crazy theory, and I know how crazy it sounds, I know how stupid it sounds, but what I used to say is, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, if Willy Wonka is German, which we've established that he kind of must be, look at the people that win the tickets. 2 Americans, a British British child, and Charlie. One other German boy, Augustus Gloop, who, by the way, they make it a point to say he's from Western Germany. They make it a point. He's from Western Germany. I don't know why, but they do. And you have Willy Wonka and invites these kids over. And if you remember, spoiler alert for Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Slugworth is actually somebody who works for Wonka to see if the kids will give up his secrets. And he was present when almost all of those kids found their golden tickets. So those kids were chosen. All the kids in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory were chosen. They were not randomly selected. Every single kid is chosen and then murdered. He murders those kids because they're all put in, almost all of them. I think that the only one that you can kind of question is Veruca Salt. You can kind of question whether or not she was intentionally put in a situation that would tempt her. But the other kids, it's like, Augustus Gloop is going to go after everything, because Augustus Gloop is a glutton. And then you have Mike TV, and you show him this TV thing, and it's like, well, of course he's going to want to do it, because he's an asshole. Violet Beauregard, he shows her, like, I've made magic gum. And she's like, I usually eat gum. And he's like, yes, you do. There's this magic gum. By the way, I didn't get a chance to tell you, it's going to turn you into a fucking blueberry. He chose those kids to die. It's a dark, dark movie. That's why I like it so much. And then you have Willy Wonka, who, like, doesn't hide his disdain for the people that are there at all. He just outwardly, like, looks at them and goes, yep, sign this contract. And he's like, what does the contract say? He's like, well, you're not going to get in unless you sign it. I don't care if you read it. And then proceeds to murder those people's children. It's nuts. It's a nuts movie, and I just loves it. I love that movie. I'm a weirdo. It brings me joy. I don't know why I put this thing all the way over me, But yeah, that's why I like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. But like I said, I'm a bit of an odd duck when it comes to that movie. I'm not cool with the fact that what's his name? Timothy Chalamet is going to be a Wonka in a prequel. I think that's fucking dumb, and it's not even the casting. It's just I don't think you should make a prequel to that Willy Wonka. I think it's perfect the way it is. There's nothing but mystery surrounding Willy Wonka in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's just he has this mysterious factory. No one ever comes in. No one ever goes out. Nobody knows how chocolate is still getting pumped out of there. And then as you as you continue throughout that story about Charlie, it then reveals all you really need to know about him, which is that he's willing to murder kids to make a statement and then give his kid over to, like, this little Aryan boy. It's so weird. Because, like, when you watch that movie, you're like, oh, it's in Germany. Charlie is literally blonde-haired and blue-eyed. He's poor. And we don't even really know the circumstances. We just know that he's got 4 basically immobile grandparents, except for Grandpa Joe when he sees a chance to get some chocolate. And Willy Wonka just basically gives it to him. I think the final straw was the fizzy lifting drinks, which I don't know why. And it's mostly Grandpa Joe's fault. It's not fucking Charlie's. Grandpa Joe was the one that's like, yo, let's fucking do this shit. I don't know. I could talk about that movie all day. And I will proceed to if I don't stop myself. So here we are. Alright, walls, walls. I guess I'm doing all the walls first. Then I'll start working on the ground. Why can't I leave the ladder on the ground? Like, is that allowed? Because it seems really annoying that I would... But yeah. Willy Wonka. And now Shadow has left. Shadow's like, this dude is a fucking nutcase. He's made the comment that nobody actually really likes Willy Wonka. Turns out this dude is the one wacko who loves it. Like I said, it's a bit of a weird love, but I do have it. I'm still here. That's a weird movie. But I do think you're a nutcase. Well, I think you already thought that because I've also expressed love for other movies that you think are trash. Like I did say earlier that I watched 7 of the 10 available Fast and Furious movies. And I think they only started getting bad around, well, that's not exactly true, is it? I do believe that... Stupid ladders. Why can't you just... Should be able to put the ladder on the floor. Should be able to put the ladder on the floor. Just annoys me so much that I can't just put the ladder on the floor. Nothing there, so I can put it back. But that's one thing that I appreciate about you, Shadow. That I appreciate about our digital homieism is we can both disagree completely on movies, but we never really get, like, upset about it. You know what I mean? Because you've said some pretty inflammatory things about classic films, like Point Break. You mean to tell me I can't? Stupid. That's dumb. Get this from the ground. It just... Put the ladders on. It sounds like a Weird Al parody of that song. Put the ladders on the floor. That's a Weird Al song where the fans of Drowning Pool would find it, like, offensive that he did it. It's not funny, man. It's not funny. Okay? Drowning Pool, they're poets, okay? When they wrote Let the Bodies Hit the Floor, They did not realize that they were writing a modern masterpiece that would be loved for ages and used in way too many horror movie trailers and wrestling promo trailers for the rest of time. I feel like when the WWF, now the WWE, thanks to the World Wildlife Fund, I think when they heard that song, they were like, "You've got to be shitting me. They wrote the perfect song for us." We don't even have to look anymore. We found it, gents. Let the bodies hit the floor. All the work is done for us. Big old wall. Clean. There's like no graffiti on this wall at all, unless it's taking it off easily, which usually the lower settings don't work that well. Nooks and crannies here. Put the ladders on the now I want to write. Put the ladders on the floor in the style of Weird Al. I'm sure someone has already done it with AI. That's something I've been seeing on YouTube that's been kind of blowing my mind and making me anxious, is people putting out AI versions of Johnny Cash songs, but it's done in the voice of Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2. Kind of like a weird, weird thing to see and hear. I'll never understand people's fascination with AI garbage. Yeah, what I find interesting is like, because there was like a big outcry from voice actors who found out that people were using their voices to make porno on the internet, and they were like, I'm not cool with this. And like, part of me was sitting there thinking like, I didn't even think of that as a possibility to use AI. People like put in somebody's voice performance, like, yeah, now make them say horribly gross pornographic things, and then I'll get a AI or just a professional animator to animate those characters boning. And you're like, why do you... First off, why do you think that's okay? Like, it's one thing to be like, this is something I want to see, this is something I want to hear. It's like, then put in the work to get, like, a sound-alike, pay them. The fact that it's like, wait, what's wrong with doing this? It's like, obviously they don't want you to do that. Because they didn't expect, when they were coming up with this character for a video game, that you would need it to jerk off. They thought they were just getting paid to do a character for the video game and the developer, not so that you can get your specific jollies off. And I don't understand why you thought it was okay. It's like, well, I need to get hard. I need my porn. And it's like, no, you fucking don't. Why does your porn need to be that fucking specific, man? And it's like, oh, well, you don't want to judge people. It's like, I feel like I'm allowed to judge that person. Because I'm going to use AI tools so that I can make something very specific against the wishes of the person who created it. Like, then I get to judge you. Because then you're going to hide behind, it's like, oh, well, my freedom of expression. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know, man. Clean the railing. You know a movie I watched recently, and now I'm curious to hear your opinions, Shadow? Because I watched it due to a conversation I had with some homies about these films. The Bill and Ted movies. Curious to hear your opinion on them. Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey. There's, of course, a third one that I don't really count because I did watch it and I thought it was really bad. Alex Winter, Keanu Reeves as Ted Theodore Logan and Bill S. Preston Esquire. Hey there, I got a heck of a filthy sidecar if you can fit us in. I can run it up to you if that helps. From Sue Berry. Here she has a brother named Blueberry. One thing I know about concrete, it's that also Sue Berry has an uncle and he has a really bad voice. And it's actually really hard to understand him. They actually call him by a pretty mean nickname, Raspberry. I love the first, second is okay, third is pretty bad. I don't even remember the ending. Did they die after the dumb worldwide concert? I don't remember. I don't remember the ending. I just remember thinking this is bad and they shouldn't have made this. Because I remember a long, long time ago in a galaxy far away, anytime I would catch them on TV, I always thought I liked Bogus Journey more. But like I couldn't remember like both movies like all the way through consistently beginning to end. And then when I was like, you know what, I'm going to watch both. So I set them up and watched them both in a row. And I was like, no, Excellent Adventure is better. Just legitimately a better movie. And I was wrong. And I told my homies, I was like, I was wrong. Also, I should probably check that. I am Ziggy Piggy. No. There. And I do enjoy how Excellent Journey kind of uses time travel in a comedic way with these characters that are both dumb but do have like decent ideas to use the time travel. But then as you watch the film, you're just like, well, obviously they won't remember to do that because if they did, then he wouldn't be telling his past self now. Because he would know, oh, me telling him didn't actually change the outcome. I was like, oh, stuff like that. It's a good movie. It's a good, fun movie for good, fun people. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, now available on some streaming service and Blu-ray, which you won't buy because you have streaming services. Physical media is basically dead because convenience has ruined it. Unfortunately, we won't realize how bad it is until the internet goes out due to some unfortunate circumstance and people take to the streets angry because they can't watch their movies. I'm sure also medical issues will arise, but what do I know? I do sometimes. It's weird. Like I enjoy the ability to pick from a ton of movies with the convenience of streaming, but like the quality of the movie is so clearly better if you have the physical media, especially if you get yourself a Blu-ray and a decent TV. You're like, why does this movie suddenly look like an actual movie? And you're like, oh yeah, because it's not being compressed so that it's in nice digestible formats. Boom. Got a wall cleaned. Rock and roll to you. I don't know if I'm going to finish this today. As I get my shit together. Another wall cleaned. All roof anymore. Nice. Unfortunately, got to get rid of this pretty cool piece of artwork. Also, did the music die? One of the ones. Make fun of people who have DVDs. Them brag about my vinyl collection. Yeah, the vinyl thing, like, I'm not judging anybody, but, like, I listen to a lot of metal and hardcore, and the explosion of vinyl for, like, hardcore bands really, like, had me scratching my head. I was like, the quality on some of these albums are not really worth this vinyl purchase. I kind of want to keep it. It looks so cool. But unfortunately, rules is rules. Now this guy. Wait a minute. Can I get up on this thing from the side? I can. Then why would I even put the ladder up there? Come on. You get it together, game. This is going to be some pretty cool thing, too. I guarantee it. Oh, it's just letters. Which, I mean, you know, I'm not going to knock on graffiti artists for lettering, but I thought it would be something different and kind of cool. I saw the explosion here. But, you know, it is what it is. Oh, vinyl collectors. And that's also like how there's a whole market on just getting, like, vinyl variants. And I'm like, holy shit, man. It's already expensive to kind of be into vinyl, but to then go, I want to get multiple versions of the same thing just because it's a different color. It's like, oh boy. I think my anxiety and like my mild OCD would kind of freak out just because I know there's other versions of it. And it's like, well, why did I get this color? But I can't imagine being like, yep, I'm going to want all 10 colors, please. I'm going to go to those individual places that have the different color variants. I'm going to make sure to get that. I'm like, I don't know if that's going to happen. Don't know if that's going to happen. That just looks gross. This kind of looks like something that I don't want to describe or say out loud. But I think people will know what I'm talking about. They know. Which is the basis for implied adult humor that's in kids' movies. Because the kids don't know what you're talking about. Right, kids? Yay. Alrighty. Alrighty. Bum, 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 bum. A little bit of the upper floor. ED for erectile dysfunction. I loved that on commercials that then came out for erectile dysfunction. They were like, well, we can't say erectile dysfunction anymore. We have to use the phrase or the term ED. Just like, look, man, if you have erectile dysfunction, I understand that it seems like it's an embarrassing thing, but, like, I think it also is implying that you might be actually having sex, which is pretty not embarrassing. But what do I know? I don't know shit. A lot of smiley faces with white paint. Also, Shadow, I don't know if we talked about this, but came back up on my radar because of a podcast I listened to while working. Did you catch the Zack Snyder Justice League by chance? In your film watching and appreciation? Did you get a chance to watch that 4-hour masterpiece? Yeah, I re-listened to a podcast that was very generous about it. I'm just curious about your thoughts. I haven't seen any superhero movie in the last 7 years. Well, hot damn. Yeah, don't start with that one. Not even saying it's bad, it's just... I remember watching it because I was like, this is a historical thing that probably won't ever happen again. And I just have to see what the fuss is about. Where a director claims, oh, the reason the movie's bad is because they Frankenstein my vision with another guy's vision. If you give me the reins, I can make this thing perfect. And it's just like, this is the guy that brought us Sucker Punch. Do you really want to listen to him? Like, do you really? I'm not saying it's gonna be bad. I'm just saying consider the source. that's left on this wall? Like, seems like I must be missing something if it's just that, but nope. Get the corner, get the corner. My gosh, not even halfway. Bum, 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 bum. Wall. A big ass wall too. There's always just gonna be enough graffiti that I have to start on it before it clears it. Actually, last one I saw was Spider-Verse movie. Before that, it was Guardians 1. Well, Spider-Verse movie, I've seen the first one. I haven't seen the second one, which everyone has said that it's, you know, God's gift to the world. I'm sure it's good, but I remember really liking the first one. And I do think that the the 3-hour Batman movie is also very good, but completely understand why someone would not want to sit through that. Because boy, is that a commitment. Boy, is that a commitment for a Batman movie. And I'm willing to make that commitment, but I understand if other people are not. It's a contract that I engaged with Batman. It's like, I completely understand if other people are not going to be down for that. 50%. First one was fine. Involves a bad guy who's angry about his dead family. They make a big laser. That's in every superhero movie. One of my favorite things. There's a review of one of the Batman video games. And in it, the reviewer says, look, there's only 3 plots that could be in a superhero story for a video game or anything. 1, superhero encounters a villain that is a dark reflection of themselves. The superhero encounters a supervillain that is willing to put their personal friends and family in danger, or the villain has a plan that will destroy the entire population or most of it. He's like, and this game goes through each plot several times. And it was like, oh yeah, that is really all they can do, huh? That's really all they can do. Boom, upper floor, dunzo. I'm getting real close to that new washer, baby. That new washer, baby. Boom. Get into that new washer setup. What is missing on these rails? Oh my gosh, underneath. You sons of bitches. There we go. Clean rail. Superman 3 didn't do that. Robert Vaughn wanted oil and coffee. And isn't that what every supervillain really wants? Just a little bit of oil and some coffee. Superman 3. Holy shit. That movie. What was the comedian's name? Oh, how can I forget his name? He's like Richard Pryor. Where Richard Pryor is just a computer genius just because he develops something that's purpose is used to kill Superman, and really its only purpose is to possibly do evil things. But then at the end of the movie, he's like, I had no idea what I was doing. It's like, yeah, you did. You 100% did, dude. You 150% knew you were doing some bad business. You knew it. You knew it. Boom. Clean ramp. Speaking of vinyl, I like to tell people that I have prior records. Well, that's dope. Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, as I sit here pretending to be a power washer for entertainment, like, you just wish I just wish I had more time to go back and like listen to old Pryor records or George Carlin records. Just because, like, people, you know, they call him the GOAT. Richard Pryor. Some people call George Carlin the GOAT too, I think. I have a feeling this pool is gonna be... Oh, I just realized it's... Oh my gosh, it's watermelon. That's super cool. A little watermelon bowl. I feel like somebody would have this for, like, summer picnics or something. A little watermelon bowl. To put your watermelon in, your slices of watermelon. Be at Target for a reasonable price. I have a feeling this bowl's gonna be a problem. A lot of the nooks and crannies. You can't really see the dirt. Pryor and Cry would call Lenny Bruce the GOAT. Well, yeah, that would be. kind of what any comedian does. Because I think most comedians are naturally self-effacing, and they would keep themselves out of those types of conversations. Because I'm sure younger comedians who were like Pryor and Carlin were way before their time, they would give it to somebody else. And then there's folks that would say like, well, Kevin Hart is the GOAT, and you're like, okay. I don't agree with you, but we all have our own opinions. Brian Regan or Jim Gaffigan. It's like, I don't know, they're very successful, but I wouldn't call them the GOAT. Eh? And of course you have like guys that they're not in the GOAT conversation, but like they're just next level, and people have nothing but reverence for them. And one of those people who is in probably my top 5 list would be like Mitch Hedberg. Mitch Hedberg was one of my favorites. And it's just super tragic that he died so young. Besides the obvious reasons, it's like that dude could have... Man, the fucking bits we could have got from that guy. It's such a unique, weird view of everything. But, yeah. Not enough money to buy the new sprayer, but I don't have any of the attachments. It seems to be cutting through pretty well. I delivered pizzas during college. I listened to so many comic albums. Hedberg, Werbilia, Demetri Martin, Brian Regan, Gaffigan, Jackie Cation. Maria Bamford. I love Maria Bamford. So, like, because there's like sexist assholes who say that women aren't funny, right? And every time I ever hear that, I go, Maria Bamford. I'm like, oh, she's just weird. And I'm like, you're an idiot. Maria Bamford is fucking hilarious. I don't care what dumb, sexist bullshit anyone's ever gonna say. Maria Bamford is awesome. I missed enough of the quarter pipe to tell me that it's not enough. Where is this quarter pipe problem? There we go. Boom. All that. All that in a bag of chips. Oh wow, I already got a lot of this side of the earth. Cosby. It's so weird, and I'm not saying this to be like, oh man, I knew then. I didn't. I don't know anything about Bill Cosby. Like, Bill Cosby was not, like, a big deal, like, in my house as a kid. Like, and really, comedy wasn't. It was, not until, like, a little bit later. So, like, we didn't really know much about Cosby Records or the Cosby Show, right? And I did not realize, because obviously Cosby is, like, a legend, comedic legend, television legend. And so, like, I did not realize just how, like, what's the word? Like, not damaging. How shocking and how, like, out of left field his, like, his shit was for everybody. Like, because we never watched the Cosby Show. We never listened to Cosby records. So, like, when that shit started going down, I was like, wow, that's messed up, man. Like, that's crazy. And people are like, no, it's absolutely crazy. It makes absolutely no sense. This dude was in our homes, this dude, and I was like, oh, okay. I believe you. It just wasn't as big a part of my family. I think my dad, he had a couple Harlan records. And so when, like, as a family, there's a bit of a 90s boom when I was younger. Not a 90s boom, like a stand-up boom when I was a little bit younger. And my dad kind of, like, pulled out the records he did have or did hear. I think they were mostly Carlin. Bo Cosby. Oh, Cosby. I figured what happened with Bill Cosby would be like our wake-up call that it has to do with power, but I guess we're still not ready to have that, or are not smart enough to have that conversation yet. Obviously, he's a monster, and it's not just the power that did that, but I think we have to understand that when we perceive someone as, like, oh, well, I mean, they couldn't do this. Also, like, you would never suspect, and you trust them with so much. It's like, those guys are the ones you gotta watch out for, man. Never trust anyone. It's the theme of today. Never trust anyone. Water pipe problem. Oh, that's the upper floor, so what is water pipe problem? Oh my gosh, for reals? It's the backside? Seems dumb. Nope. I've said it before, like when I started this job at the skate park, these must be some dirty kids. These are some dirty skateboarding punks to make this level of dirt and grime. Alrighty. Alright. So, clean ramp. Alrighty, 5,000. Clean rail. Clean rail. Kind of peculiar where they think the stairs end and the rail begins, but, you know. It's all gotta get clean, so who cares? Even though it is weird that I'm getting paid per section. If I just, like, gave up now, I'm like, yeah, well. I feel like I've earned enough on this job. Boom, clean stairs. I will say it is odd that every time I look at chat now, because there hasn't been any new ones, it just says, and Cosby. And Cosby. What is this? And that sounds like the worst sitcom. And Cosby. Apparently he did straight up shows. He did concerts after he got out of prison. That blows my mind. Blows my mind that he did that. It blows my mind that people went. It blows my mind that he made a joke about the bar. Say, does that washer of yours work on hedges? Pretty sure it would shred the hedges. Upper floor, clean. Whoa, 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 whoa. Skate park floor. It's so caked up here. It's like, would the skateboards even roll? I also wonder how big of a patch is going to be acceptable. Boom. Clean spine. Wow, maybe I will get this done sooner than I thought I would. These lines are not even close to straight. Boom. Corner ramp. Clean. Fun box. The fun box on the floor. hate the rails in this game. I'm gonna get underneath them, which is stupid and annoying. Boom. Walls? What walls? This fun box is turning into a no fun box. That's great. Okay, walls. What frickin' walls are not clean? What walls are not clean? What? What about this wall is not clean? Oh, that's dumb. It's not clean. Which wall is not clean? Is it like a hidden wall? There you are. What about you is not clean? These pipes are clean. Ridiculous. And 10% of this is just going to be the floor. But I have to worry about this frickin' wall. Dumb. Oh, that's so dumb. 10% left. Only 10% left. What happened to these? Slow again? Oh, 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 whoa, whoa, whoa. Any idea for the movie tomorrow? Yes, I actually have the next month of movies pretty much set up, assuming that I can make them. Yeah, the next several weeks of movies have been picked. Yeah, I'm planning on doing the movie. It may not start directly at 7, but I am planning on doing a movie tomorrow, and the movie is picked. The last time we had a movie, it was The Guy with the Secret Kung Fu, which is a movie about two guys, and I don't remember their kung fu being secret. So, so that was a bit of a wild one. So we're doing a little more dramatic fare for the Monday, this Monday, tomorrow. And I'm hoping you dig it. I think it'll be a fun one. The only like piece of trivia just like a couple songs in here I'm gonna have to go through again. Figure out which ones are just not good songs. I noticed another bad comedy in the public domain, The Fat Spy. Oh, is that in the public domain? Yeah, my dad and I, yesterday we hung out for a little bit, and he threw on something called The 50 Worst Movies Ever Made. And just watching the intro to it, I was like, so a lot of these are public domain, so they don't have to pay for the rights to, show the movie. And The Fat Spy came up, and I was like, that does look pretty terrible. I did not realize that was in the public domain. But the other public domain movies that they threw in there were pretty funny. One of them was the Bela Lugosi meets the Brooklyn Gorilla. And hot damn. The second that one started, I was like, yeah, that movie is terrible. The movie sucks so much. Like an old school printer. enough so I don't have to start spot checking random parts of this frickin' floor. I think it will be, but man, if it isn't, I'm gonna be so pissed. Make me spot check the floor, please. Don't make me spot check the floor, please. Oh, son of a bitch. Oh, son of a bitch. You sons of bitches. What the hell? Son of a bitch. Should have kept more pressure. Crap. This is bullshit. And I bet it's just gonna show me the whole fucking floor. Lovely. Oh, you. There we go. Thank you, Lord in heaven. Look at that shit. All the way around. Great job, Dirt Finder. Scrubbed up kind of neat, didn't it? Beats me how you did it all with just a jet of angry water. Now the folks seem grateful. Not that all I'm getting so far is gas from Baggy Pants Brigade complaining that it don't look sick no more, which was surely the point. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. We got a forest cottage, we got the fire station, and we got the sidecar with motorbike. Oh, goodness. Well, let's do one thing. Let's stretch out a little bit. Stretch it. Stretch it out. Okay. First thing we're gonna do, we're gonna buy some new equipment. Boom. Then nope. There we go. So what am I gonna need? Shit. Fire station isn't as bad as it looks. But I don't have a lot more time. I kind of want to get off the stream for lunchtime. Don't know. Let's It's given 1,000. Let's do a motorbike and sidecar. You may have seen pics of my hubby and I becoming the first sidecar to compete in the 24-hour Great Plains Challenge. Everyone thought the tracks were too bumpy and 24 hours on the seat too restrictive, but it was no problem at all. When I got uncomfortable, I just took my hands off the throttle for a second and gave them a shake. The brutal 5-hour section took it out of the sidecar, though. Can you clean it up? I did this fire station when we watched The Capture. The Capture? I don't even remember that one. Oh, wait, yeah, I do. Now I do. I know what we're talking about. Alrighty. It's gonna be one of those nooks and crannies ones. I can already tell. Capture is such a bad title. Yeah, considering I'm not 100% sure what you're even talking about. I should have assumed this would take much less time than I thought it would. Nooks and crannies, nooks and crannies. Do I? Oh, that easy. Cool. Cool. Job done. I do enjoy that my character just jumps on top of things to get them clean. Equipment. What am I gonna wanna buy? 400, 600. Oh, so I can just get all these? I'll be a monkey's uncle. Alright. And you said the fire station wasn't that bad. Our fire station's as mucky as a pigeon. Ordinarily, we just break out a few crates of the cold stuff and let strong arms and hoses have it. But what with being set here and there and everywhere in search of Mayor's dang cat, I just don't have the time. I'm messaging you now from the lower branches of an oak tree at the Great River. Great River. That I can already see has no cat in it. Your name came highly recommended. Thanks, Denver. It still takes a while. What's the other one? I don't want to clean a cottage. Let's at least start this one. Start it up and see what happens. Alrighty. Holy shit, is this an ugly looking fire station? Hot diggity damn. Is it all contained within this building? Like there's not gonna be a... Aha! I knew it. 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 Okay. Alright. Alright. Navigating stairs. Shouldn't be difficult. Let's do it together. Boy. Pro tip, there is no fall damage. Yeah, I've noticed that with some of the other ones. Well, as you know, people who get into power washing, they are actually invincible. Part of the job that you can fall from great heights. That's one of the reasons this video game is so popular. People want to imagine what life is like when you're invulnerable. things done. Massages that brain. Boom, inside wall cleaned up. And I assume the outside wall will have to be taken care of on that little scaffolding thing. Dun, 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 dun. I'm gonna guess, based on my keen ability, put 2 and 2 together, that I am going to have to do the underside of all of this for it to actually clean up the top floor. And wouldn't you know it, I am right. Now, I don't want to be that guy, but don't they practice fake fires in this building? Seems like cleaning it might be like a giant waste of time. They're literally going to set it on fire. so dirty. So unbelievably dirty in here. Ember Woods. As we get closer and closer to quitting time. And also just the stark change in colors is crazy. just disappeared into my own brain right there. Power of PowerWash Simulator, I guess. Hard to determine where one inside wall and then where another begins. But it's all the same pattern of brick. It's like, just clean everything and then eventually it'll stop. Oh, we have graffiti in here. I really shouldn't have done that. Fudge gets to see the graffiti. Usually the graffiti is going to be that boring. It's only at the skate park. Actually see something pretty interesting. Boom. also seem kind of ironic that I'm using a ton of water to clean up something that they're going to shoot a lot of water at. But that water is to put out a fire, and this water is to make things clean. Stop pretty soon, just for my own back and butt. Ah. Right here at the bottom. Do the inside of this place and then call it a day. Maybe make $100. Huh. Pretty interesting way to delineate that. That's... It is what it is. It's also good to know that this tower just on the inside doesn't even cover 20% of full clean. Let's clean the frame. So we end on something positive. Boom. Door frame clean. I thought that might have been. That's something. Wowzers. That's a whole lot of building right there. Oh, I'm really about framing this piece of graffiti. Clean that. guess I'll clean most of it. Disappear on. Clean that garage for some reason. Screw it. We'll go to 12:30. Screw it. House tricks still spraying your jet around. That mildly Oh geez, I missed what they said. Something possibly suggestive about jets. Very specific. Oh, that's way too far. Sprayer's just cutting. There's no fall damage. The scaffolding. Magic. I mean, I am invincible. So it makes sense that I have magic abilities as well. Fourth. About 12:30. Stopping point. 30 minutes ago. Oh, okay. sides of this tower done. I think it's about time I take my leave. Thanks again, Shadow, and anybody that may have been lurking in the background. I appreciate it. I should be back on... tomorrow at about 7 p.m. Pacific time for a film. And I might as well tell you, if you're still here, Shadow, it is The Outlaw. And literally the only thing about the movie that, like, was said that actually was kind of funny was the producer insisted that the female lead's cleavage was more prominent in pretty much every single scene. So, you know, going with that objectification early in cinema for Monday. Hope you guys have a good weekend, what is left of it, and a good beginning to your week. And hopefully I'll catch you tomorrow, and maybe not, then Wednesday at 8 p.m. Have a good one, everybody. Peace.